Hi, I'm Willie. Welcome to my channel. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every one of you. And what we're going to take a look at in this video is your questions that you've asked. And we're going to talk about them a little bit, right? So viewer questions answered, maybe, or maybe things will get even more confusing. Who knows? We're going to do it real quick. I've picked a few questions from the last week or so, and I'm going to pop them up here and we're going to talk about them. So here we go. Question number one comes from Toxic Rain 4, and it is on the UniFi Cloud Gateway Ultra video. And Toxic Rain 4 asked, how does this compare to a FortiGate or pfSense? I'm looking to upgrade my FortiGate 60E, which has dozens of IPv4 rules and port forwarding with VIPs, virtual IPs. Would this run multiple subnets with full IP control? Are there any subscription costs associated for any of the features? I run multiple SSIDs on different subnets as well. I saw a comment on YouTube that you can only run one subnet with multiple SSIDs, which seems rudimentary to me, but I haven't confirmed. Have you run into any limitations? So let's talk about that. So first of all, how does this compare to a FortiGate? It's much less expensive and has a lot of the same features. So you get IDS, IPS, you get country blocking, you get firewall rules, you have a nice UI. It's different than traditional, what you think about as a FortiGate firewall, where we have a single pane of glass where we can manage not only the UniFi gateway, but the switch, the access point, and any of the other network peripherals or other devices that Ubiquiti may have. How does it compare to pfSense? So pfSense has a free version, which you can load on compatible hardware. Ubiquiti does not. But they, again, share a lot of the same feature set. We now have dynamic routing. BGP is coming to UniFi if you read the forum. The thing is that people think because we don't have a recurring cost for UniFi that it somehow makes it a lesser of a product, not as good, which is not true. So IDS, IPS, and the country blocking and the IP block lists are updated by Ubiquiti. It's not like they just created these and they're 4 years old sitting out there. They are updated. So when you're talking about FortiGate, I'd have to know exactly which model you're talking about because FortiGate has some high-end appliances. Now, I will tell you that you don't have to have, we do support FortiGate here. We work on FortiGate. You don't have to have as many policies or rules set up to accomplish things in UniFi because of the way that they are polishing the system. FortiGate, when you start looking at how you set things up, takes a lot of rules, a lot of policies to make things happen that we take for granted in UniFi. pfSense doesn't have as many policies and rules as FortiGate either, and pfSense is a solid system. We prefer OpenSense here when you're talking about the senses, but that's kind of where we're at. And there you said your FortiGate 60E. I'm not sure which model that is off the top of my head, but the UniFi gear supports dozens, hundreds. I've not run into a limit when it comes to firewall rules or the port forwarding, and you can have multiple virtual IPs attached to your WAN interface, and I've not run into any limitations yet. I'm sure somebody here can comment if they have run into limitations and let us know what they are. But yeah, you can run multiple VLANs, multiple subnets with full control. No subscription cost right now. You can buy their support. You can buy extended warranties on the UniFi stuff. And with UniFi, you can have multiple SSIDs, and you can have those multiple SSIDs mapped to different VLANs. You can also do PPSK, or you can do radius-controlled VLANs, which would be the better option, and have those users put on any VLAN that you want. So I don't know where the other person on YouTube said that you can only run one subnet with multiple SSIDs, but that is simply not true. I hope I answered your questions there, Toxic Rain 4. Let us know if there's any follow-up needed. All right, so Rude's Hangout This was a question asked on our Grandstream HT801 ATA, Keeping Your Analog Dreams Alive video. One of the only ATAs in the world that supports pulse dialing. Also supports hotline calling, all those cool things. If you want to see a hotline calling video, let me know down in the comments. But hi, do I need an 801 after every phone, or can I install one behind a PBX so that all the connected pulse phones can use it? So this is kind of a tricky question. Now, in theory, we could come off of the HT801 into like a 66 block, and then until all the voltage can't be used anymore, we could use the wiring and do multiple phones off of it. So the other thing you could do is, if you had a PBX, and what you indicate you do here, you could have one per device and have them all register for the same extension or for different extensions. But the 801 is only going to have so much output voltage. And so what you're going to run into is, once you run out of voltage, you're pushing too much voltage out and you don't have any more to give, is that not all the phones are going to ring. You're going to start getting some wacky things going. And speaking of that, I once saw something about where mob folk, and if there's anybody who's former FBI, it'd be cool if you could comment. You know, I don't think you can, but I heard a story about how the mob used to have multiple analog phones in these places, and the wiretaps that were planted relied on the voltage on the line. And if they had so many phones hooked up and they were drawing all that voltage, then the wiretap wouldn't work. I don't know if that's true or not. I read that somewhere, saw it somewhere, and I thought it was kind of cool. But really, if you run out of voltage, you won't be able to ring all the phones. And things like that. So you get into some weird things. Depending on how many phones you have, it may be easier to just have an HT801 per phone. All right. Jordan asks, when is the next ISP video coming? So if you haven't started following along to our Build an ISP, I am filming that this week. Will be released either yet this week or early next week. All right, so this is in response to my video, does your UniFi Cloud Gateway have a hidden power source? Which I created that because somebody asked if it had an internal battery, and it does not. And Kino1 says, if you use a decent database that's not SQLite, etc., 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 the database should be able to not be corrupted by having an operation interrupted. Same with a decent file system. And yes, that is a correct statement. And several UniFi versions ago, and I think according to my contact at Ubiquiti, he thought we were in version 6 of UniFi still. They switched Mongo over to be journaling, and so it is resilient to those power outages. So you shouldn't see corruption from power outages on those devices. Interesting note that I hadn't really caught up to yet, but I also asked about the battery in the Cloud Key Gen 2. And in 2022, Ubiquiti actually stopped putting the batteries in the Cloud Key Gen 2. So anything manufactured from that 2022 date forward has not had the battery in it, so we wouldn't be having those battery problems. I thought you'd like to know that fun fact. Next question is by Greg Gould, and this was a comment on my Ubiquiti UniFi Cloud Key Gen 2 2022 update. So funny enough, 2022 was the last video that we did. We need to do some new videos on that. And Greg asked, I'm just looking to have up to 6 4K camera streams positioned around my house, no other use. This seems way more compact and a great price. As a surveillance NVR system only, it seems that this should totally be capable enough for that singular purpose. So you should go over to the Ubiquiti site. They have a sizing calculator that's there, and you can talk about that. Now, me personally, if I was going to have 6 4K cameras, I would not use the Cloud Key Gen 2. I would put an NVR, UNVR, or UNVR Pro in, something that's got multiple discs, bigger processor, and meant for that kind of workload, Greg. I would put in not the Cloud Key Gen 2. I know because of the price, it's appealing, and you can upgrade the drive. I understand all of those reasons. But for the workload of 6 4K cameras, I'd spend an extra $150 and I would put in UNVR and 4 drives. You could, use 2 terabyte, 4 terabyte, 6, 8, 10, blah, 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 hard drives. But for 6 4K cameras, would not use just the CloudKey Gen 2. I would definitely go with the UNVR. And it looks like this is our last question, also from Greg Gould. Just stumbled upon UniFi when looking for a cam solution for the house. In my research, most systems seem kind of clunky interface-wise, and with systems like Amcrest, they say you can stream multiple 4K streams no problem, but mixed results in reviews. Will this system handle third-party cameras? Do you think having 6 4K cameras would be manageable for a model like this, not looking to break the bank? I like the size of this in VR, as it'll just be for home. So, Greg, reference my last question, where if you're going to do 6 4K cameras, I would not use the CloudKey Gen 2, and the UniFi Video 2 terabyte NVR is no longer a supported product. It's gone. I'm sure people still have it running. I'm sure that they do. It's not a supported product. CloudKey Gen 2, I'd use the UNVR or the UNVR Pro. The UNVR is going to be the more budget friendly of those choices, along with some 2 terabyte drives, which you should be able to pick up for like 50, 60 bucks a piece on Amazon. And then you're going to have a system that's going to scale to 50 and 60 cameras, no problem. Maybe not 4K cameras, but you could add other cameras. Now, the thing is about ubiquity, and you ask here in the question, is can you use third-party cameras? And the answer to that is no. You cannot at this time use third-party cameras with the UNVR, the UniFi Protect system. You have to use Ubiquiti cameras. All right, and that is the last question. So if you've got questions you want answered, make sure you're asking them below. Make sure you're sending us email. You're over at thecommunity.willyhow.com, and you're signing up, asking questions over there. We're building a great community over there, and you can ask your questions there. You can ask your questions here. I'm going to put on the calendar that once a quarter, I'm going to go through and I am going to do these videos where I answer these questions. I used to do it a lot more often, and I got to get back to that because I appreciate all of you. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, share, follow me on Twitter and TikTok. Those links are down below, along with affiliate links, Patreon link, and if you need IT consulting, head on over to willyhow.com. Right on the front page, there is a contact form. Fill that out, and someone will be in touch with you as soon as possible. Like I said, join the community. Come on over, join it. We've got a lot of knowledgeable folks over there, and we'll help you, through your questions. And if you need anything else, just reach out. Once again, I'm Willie. I want to thank you for being here. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.